is about Europe's hypocrisy. All the lectures and criticism heaped on India for buying Russian oil.
Is Modi's India on the right path? Varun Gandhi has said.
Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar has responded firmly at what he termed Europe's hypocrisy when it comes to Russia. Speaking to Austria's national broadcaster on the Russia-Ukraine war,
Europe, the cradle of modern civilization, the beacon of democracy and innovation. Oh, wait, what's that? Economic slowdown, political bickering and clinging to colonial hangovers. Hey, it seems European golden age might just be losing its shine. So today we are asking the real question, is Europe on the right path or is it a time for the rest of the world, particularly India, to debate Europe's future? Because let's face it, Europe has been debating the rest of the world for centuries, always lecturing, always judging, but now with the rise of new global powers like India, maybe it's time someone holds up the mirror up to Europe. Historically, Europe has always been the opinionated neighbor who just knows better. They have been setting the global narrative since the colonial era. Remember when British Empire civilized half of the world, or when French and Spanish brought the culture to Africa and America? Hey, those were the days when European superiority wasn't just a belief, it was the law literally. Fast forward to today, the UK's Prime Minister is still reminiscing of the good old days, except now their empire is reduced to nostalgia and their biggest export, Brexit chaos. Europe wants to stay relevant, but it's hard to do that when your biggest achievement of this decade is to managing to keep European Union from completely unraveling. But hey, at least they still have great cheese and wine. The European Union, the shining example of unity and cooperation, right? Well, not so much. The reality is, the Europe has become a continent of endless negotiation, compromises and bureaucratic red tape. Remember when Brexit was supposed to be about taking back control, now Britain can't even figure out who is in control. It's almost like watching soap opera, you never know what ridiculous plot twist is coming next. Europe's economics wasn't just internal, they have also struggled with external pressures like energy crisis post-Ukraine. Suddenly they are running around the world for looking for oil like it's a lost drop of water in the desert. And when India steps up and buys oil from the Russia at discounted rate, Europe can't help but wag its finger. Oh, but when Europe buys the Russian oil, that's different, you see. It's justified because they need it more. Funny, right? How does that work? And of course, India's Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar had a perfect response to this double standard. When he was questioned about India buying oil from the Russia, he famously said, our total purchases for the month would be less than what Europe buys in an afternoon. Oh, that's a diplomatic equivalent of saying, check your own house before telling us how to clean us. Now, Dr. Jaishankar, India's Foreign Minister, has been vocal about Europe's inability to grasp the changing world order. At the Raisana dialogue, he famously said, Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world problems, but world problems are not Europe's problem. It's a damning observation. Europe expects the world to rally behind its crisis. Ukraine, economic turbulence. But when was the last time Europe truly understood or supported issues outside its immediate circles? Palki Sharma, a seasoned journalist from India, doesn't pull any punches either. She often highlights the Western hypocrisy when it comes to democracy, human rights and global leadership. Take Afghanistan for example. The US and its European allies rushed out after 20 years, leaving a chaos behind, and they lecture the rest of the world on stability. Now, if there's one thing that Europe excels at, it's setting rules and then breaking them. When it comes to the foreign policy, they want others to play by the book. Their book, mind you. But as soon as those rules don't suit them, suddenly it's a free-for-all. Take military intervention for example. Europe and its allies intervened in Iraq, Libya and Afghanistan, often citing democracy and human rights. But the aftermath? Chaos, displacement and instability. And yet when developing countries like India stay non-aligned and mind their own business, they are criticized for not taking a stand. It's a kind of like being judged for not getting involved in bar fight that someone else started. The truth is, Europe often turns a blind eye to the global south issues unless it impacts their own interest. The refugee crisis from Africa and Middle East. Suddenly it's a global problem, but food security in Africa or regional conflicts in Asia? silence. Europe's moral high ground seemed to have some pretty shaky foundation, and when it comes to democracy, we saw how quickly democratic values go out the window when European Union was dealing with its own member state that refused to play ball. Remember Hungary and Poland. Now let's get to the heart of the matter, India. While Europe stumbles over its identity crisis, India has been quickly making states that are reshaping global dynamic space. Well, India's ISRO put a lander on the south pole of the moon, a region where no one else dared to go. Meanwhile, Europe's space ambitions, they are still looking for funding. And let's not forget the economy. Europe's growth is crawling, youth unemployment is a huge problem. Meanwhile, India is becoming one of the fastest growing economies in the world, even set to surpass Germany as the fourth largest economy soon. Europe's loves to critique emerging markets, but here the reality is India isn't emerging anymore. It's here and it's growing stronger. Space achievement, check. Economic growth, check. Leadership in technology and renewable energy, double check. Europe might have Michelin stars and Renaissance art, but India is building the future while Europe reminisces about its past. What's next? Europe's telling us how to run our space program after we go to Mars before then. Despite all this achievement, Europe can't help but play the critic. Take climate change for example. Europe's quick to finger at countries like India for using coal, while conveniently ignoring that they have been the world's top polluter for centuries. Europe's green revolution sounds great until you realize it's a little late to the party. Oh, but when Europe does it, it's an innovation. When India or other developing does it, it's somehow irresponsible. You see how the narratives flip. Europe's been setting the rules of the game, and now others are playing by their own strategies and they can't handle it. Just look at how they react to the Indian foreign policies. India's non-alignment is seen as a problem. Europe seems to think if you are not with them, you are on the wrong side of the history. Funny how history is always written by those who won last century wars, isn't it? So, where does this leave us? Europe, the once unquestioned global powerhouse, now finds itself at crossroads, grappling with past while struggling to define its future. Meanwhile, countries like India are stepping up, rewriting their rules and claiming their place in multipolar world. The truth is, the world isn't waiting for Europe to catch up anymore. It's not about abandoning Europe or dismissing its contribution. It's perhaps more about the realization that future does not belong to Europe. It's about the collaboration, respect and acknowledging the rise of the new eyes. Because the future is for everyone, Europe included, realizes that. So as Europe debates its future, the rest of the world, especially India, is busy building. The real question is, will Europe keep up or get left behind? Thanks for watching. If you find this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and let us know in the comment section how do you see Europe's role in changing the world order. Thank you so much.